Hello, friends. I am not Jim Nance. I am Jerry Liu, co-host of the From the Back Tees podcast, a podcast from the Back Tees. The other co-host is the always intrepid, ever-present Zachary Pensers, joining us as always today. Zach, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. We got a special episode for you guys today. You want to ring him in?
Masters preview. This is fun. This is would be our fifth podcast, and our first one we're not doing just in terms of a weekly thing. We've been putting off saving all this Masters talk and information for you. And right now it's Sunday. The Valero Texas Open is wrapping up as we speak, and we'll probably check our app here or there because there's one fella who, never mind, Corey Connors. Is it Corey Connors?
Corey Connors.
He's running away with it. He's extended his lead to 3 now. And
right.
Ryan Moore's in the clubhouse. So Corey Connors, 20 under with 1 hole left to play. Good for him. But Canadian,
eh? We got
buddy.
this.
All right.
First win in a while for a Canadian.
Little bit. So anyways, we want to thank you on behalf of Michigan Sports and Entertainment. We love being their golf podcast on their platform. And I'm an iTunes and iPhone user, so we appreciate you downloading and subscribing wherever you can. As I told my friends on Facebook, I'm not going to pester you every week when the pod comes out. Just subscribe, like I do, like anyone does, just to make sure you see that thing come up, to make sure you get it on your own very easily. And Zach, what's the best way to find us? The website, how can people get in touch with you directly and quickly?
So yeah, the website, www.fromthebacktees.com, and then through Twitter at FromTheBackTees. That's where I am. You could always send us a DM, send us any questions you want us to answer on the pod, and then Jerry and the rest of the team have their own independent Twitters that you could find on the About Us on the website, and then through the podcast on iTunes or Spotify.
Indeed. That's kind of how this whole mess got started, was me and Zach just BSing on Twitter. So and then here we are. This is finally come to fruition in terms of I enjoy podcasts, and half of out of frustration of having those guys there just wasn't a good podcast out there, I thought, golf wise, that just covered the middle. And then lo and behold, you wanted to make one too, so here we're doing that. And I might add, I was poking at Barstool Sports podcast, Riggs, or whatever his name is, the head of it or whatever, and he liked one of the tweets that was in the conversation. But it was, so that meant he at least saw the conversation of that tweet. But I was I took a quick turn and tore him a new one, threw him a good bit of shade. But we can get to that on the normal weekly show. I digress. We got lots of fun stuff to talk about in the past week, but we are dedicating this solely to Augusta, Georgia. Speaking of, Zach, we got some. Let's lead it off with the questions. We got some questions off of Twitter for us to dive into and share with everybody. What you have?
Yeah, so our first question's by our guy Nolan. He asks, what's your favorite hole and why? And then a second part is, why is Spieth so good here? And do you think this will be a year he struggles?
That sounds like a 3-part question. Well, honestly, what's your favorite hole at Augusta? I got mine. It's pretty simple for me.
So my favorite's the 16th, I guess, for not much more reason other than that there seems to be a lot of excitement every year. Things can change, especially with the water, and it's definitely played a big effect in the last several years.
Excuse me. Yes, absolutely. That's my second favorite hole at Augusta for sure, and because to me it's the epitome of target golf, where everyone comes up there and all you have to do is hit that nice draw or nice punch cut 120-yard pitching wedge to a very weird spot of the green, and that ball will just release down and around, and you don't know if it's going in the hole or if it's going to be 2 feet away. It's a hole, and yet I was watching that 86 Masters highlight in the final round or whatever, and I forget who it was. I think it was Tom Watson. Straight dumped his shot pointing short of the water in the drip. Excuse you? Did you just fall asleep with a downswing or something? I know it's a difficult hole, and it's the Masters, and back 9, but it seems to me that the guys who are charging or the guys who are winning the tournament really have number 16 under wraps. It doesn't seem to be a difficult hole for those guys who are hot. It seems to be really exciting, yet really one-dimensional, to me at least. I mean, that's why it's my second favorite.
So what's your favorite?
Gotta love 13. I mean, that par 5 is just something else in that it's first of all, that hole is the epitome to me of why I will always, when it comes down to putting real money, like hard money on the line at Augusta, I will pick lefties ever since Mike Weir won in 02 and Phil started making his playground. I mean, and then Bubba also. I mean, if you get the right kind of lefty who cuts the ball the right kind of way, and sorry folks for all those laymen out there, and this is why we're doing this. If you're a left-handed golfer, a cut travels right to left, which would be a hook for, us righties. Or I'm a righty. Zach's righty, or at least from the one video I've seen of him golfing. And obviously, when you cut the ball as opposed to draw the ball, it puts backspin on it as opposed to topspin. So it's not just a matter of moving left to right or right to left, folks. I mean, granted, the driver face technologies, thanks to TaylorMade, are getting better in reducing the backspin and giving you a lot of distance. But overall, if you can hit a cut off the tee or a slice, whatever you want to call it, if you can, as a righty, hit it left to right, a la Dustin Johnson, you can get the ball to go up higher and stop, not roll out into trouble. Now, a righty on 13, that's a big sharp dog leg to the left, like damn near 90 degrees. I haven't been there in person. I don't know what it looks like, but it looks like from the tee box, like all of a sudden, where'd you go? It seems easier to me in my personal experience, and from what I know about the golf swing and physics, that it's easier to hit a cut than a draw. Not for everybody, but for most of us. Just that I have a friend of mine who he can't throw a 4-seam fastball. He throws a 2-seam by default. Like every time we play catch, when they come to me, just move off to the side a little bit. And I tell him like, "Coop, knock it off." And he's just like, "Sorry, that's how I throw." I'm like, so his default had movement, whatever. But that being said, the lefties, they can control a cut. They can just whale a big 300-yard slice down that fairway, and anything that is a cut for them goes towards target. Whereas, gosh, guys like Tiger, we've seen him hit 3-wood off that tee, and we know he's reaching that hole in 2. A lot of guys are reaching that hole in 2. And then here's the beauty part. Good drives result in 200 yards out on a semi-slope fairway onto a very big green that seems like they don't seem to take much club to get there, but some people come up way short, and that green doesn't seem to release much. That's also the scene of my favorite, the Fantastica shot, the Seve hit in the final round of the 86 Masters. Was that like 3-iron from the fairway there? That was just one of my favorite shots in golf.
Way before my time.
Shot not to go in the hole. It was before my time too. I was like 1.5 years old. I mean, come on.
I wasn't even a thought.
But I like 13 also in that it's the end of Amen Corner, and I say this with no hyperbole. If you play Bandon Trails at my golf resort, when you play 12. It's hard to think about it because 12 is a 215-yard par 3 that's the number 18 handicap. Yet the Raiders only get it right 3 out of every 4 times. Sorry, it's just the way it goes. I know those a-holes personally, those limey bastards. But anyways, tangent upon tangent, I apologize. When you stand back on 13T, our 13T at Trails is just a nice straightaway par 4. But if it were to cut to the left and you were to put Rays Creek in front of you, you would swear to Christ, if you believed in him, that was Amen Corner. And we were designed by Crenshaw, Core Crenshaw designed for Bandon Trails, and he's in Augusta. He loves Augusta. There are so many nuances of Augusta at Bandon Trails, and so anytime they show like when those golfers go back to the 13th tee, it's like I don't think there's cameras back there, or at least there's not cameramen. There might be a stationary camera back in the trees or whatever, but the golfer's going to go back in the corner. It's just them and their caddies, and maybe an official or something. But it's quiet. It's very, as my old man told me, it's like you can hear the whispers in the forest or whatever. I mean, Augusta's like the only place that'll make you believe in ghosts and not in a bad way. So Amen Corner is just a lot of fun. I mean, number 12 is a nutbuster of a hole at Augusta, and 13 has a great risk reward. It seems like if you take a par, that hurts. You can go for it and mess up and take worse than a par, or you can still get up and down for a par, but lots of eagles to be had on that hole. And that gets you revved up because 15 is another very attackable par 5. I mean, Augusta's just tremendous. Augusta's that hot chick that I complain about not paying attention to me. Other than that, I got no complaints. I mean, it's just I want to pick it apart, but in the end, it's like, she's great.
Yeah, it's pretty perfect. I mean, just
from a heterosexual viewpoint, strictly, obviously. So, yeah, 13th, that's my favorite hole. 16th is your favorite hole. That's both on the back side. That's a good choice.
Yes, so now we could go on to the second part of the question. So, is there a reason Spieth's so good at this course? And is this year you think he struggles? So I'll let you go ahead first.
Well, This will be the 6th Masters that Jordan Spieth has teed it up in. And considering he scared me earlier in the Valero Texas Open, I feel like writing a piece just on why are these guys only showing up in tournaments that they've won before? Like, is familiarity that big a deal? Much like I said, when Ian Poulter found out he was losing his card, like he had a gun to his head, all of a sudden he started hitting it within inches of the flag. It's like, can't you just, that was conjured up inside you. Can't you, you can do that. Can't you just dial that up anytime now? It's hard. It's like adrenaline, essentially, I think, where you have to have somebody trapped under the car to lift a 1,000-pound car off of somebody. I mean, it's just whatever. But Jordan Spieth, this will be his 6th Masters. He was like very Mike Trout or Tom Brady-esque in that he was, for his first 3 years, he took second, first, second. And in 2017 he took 11th, and then last year he took third. I mean, on one hand, I don't want to vote against him because of the quasi Tom Brady factor, which is like some guys at some courses, you just can't freaking rule them out. But that being said, remind me later. I have a name where I might need you to look up some odds on the spot for me. But it's Jordan. Okay, this is one of those weird anomalies right now where Jordan's game is in complete shambles. His brain is in so many fragments that the poor kid. And now he's coming to Augusta where everything might just click again. If anyone knows how to flip a switch, we saw it in Birkdale after his 45-minute hole in 2015. Jordan Spieth knows how to, he's got a few extra tanks of NOS and knows how to throw on some afterburners. I mean, because after that hole that took forever, which he wound up getting a bogey on after all those drops or whatever, he almost aced the next hole. Poor Matt Kuchar was just sitting there dabbing sweat off his own brow. I mean, it's hard to root against Spieth at Augusta, but if I'm taking this from from a medical perspective, as a doctor per se, hell no, Jordan Spieth does not have a chance this year. He's a burning tire fire right now of a golfer. I mean, it's just, what do you think?
So I think he's at a pretty big disadvantage this year. I think this year more than ever, his driving distance will hurt him and his accuracy. I mean, he can't hit a fairway for his life, even though the rough isn't too bad.
It was one of those things where people always, I hate that counter argument where everyone says, well, Tiger wasn't really accurate with the driver. It's like, yeah, but Tiger was strong.
And Tiger.
Well, but that, I mean, there are a lot of golfers who are strong enough like that, but back in the day, to say Tiger's Tiger, yeah, that's what that means, but we need to unpack that a little bit. And Tiger really didn't need accuracy to possess, he had a solid short game, and when his putter was on fire, he was beating everyone. But he didn't need accuracy off the tee because if he was in the rough, he could still make the ball go wherever he wanted to. And some golfers can't do that. Jordan Spieth, we all know him. He's notoriously average on distance. I think he's a little above that. I'm sorry, because a lot of people say he's sneaky longer than you think. Yeah, but at the same time, his game isn't built for. He's got a very Johnny Miller-esque swing in terms of his grip and his arms, where you'd think there'd be more power there, but it's not. It's just it's like a very streaky, swathy. I don't know how to describe it. It's just it's tricky.
Yeah.
When I warm up on the range, I swing like Jordan Spieth. I'm mostly all arms, my hands turned over, completely neutral to weak or whatever, and then I start really swinging at it, and I start thinking to myself, all right, think Johnny Miller. Then I start really swiping it, and then once I'm warmed up and I'm moving my body, I'm an all-body player, really. I mean, if I'm playing good, proper golf, I'm using more my body than anything else. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. It's only taken me 30 GD years of playing golf to figure that out. So what do you think Jordan's going to finish this week? I didn't even think about this. I mean,
I don't know, the way he's putting. This week he finally had a good week putting, but as you know, the Masters is probably the hardest 3 or 4 foot putts in the world. And
what kind of odds would you give me straight up right now for him to miss the cut?
That's a hard question because I don't think that many guys.
Let's just call it something personal between us. Like I say he misses the cut, but you got to give me 10-1 odds or 20-1 odds or some shit. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I'll give 25-1.
Oh well, thank you, man. I thought I was throwing out. Okay, yeah, you're on. You heard it here, folks. Put it on the board. I say Jordan Spieth misses the cut.
Okay, 1 Rona to 25 Ronas.
What the hell's a Rona?
A Corona? You know?
Oh,
come on.
Sorry, I forgot. You're north of the border, and you're in a tropical paradise right now, so you're probably in super party mode or whatever.
A nice Molson.
I like Molson. I was partial to Kokanee when I had my first port call in Canada when I was in the Coast Guard in Victoria. I was 19. So when we go to South America, Central America, and other countries, you can drink anywhere in America. America's the only one that's 21 and over. But I remember having Kokanee on tap at a couple restaurants, and I just remember, first of all, it was like only the second beer I've ever had on tap, and draft beer is delicious. And I just remember I think I got a hold of it in bottles somewhere in Colorado, and I didn't like it. But I don't like beer out of a bottle. Like, you got to pour it out of the bottle. The metal from the cap makes me taste like I'm drinking Nichols.
Yeah, I agree there. And then
Moose Drool's good. I'm a fan of Moose Drool if you're in the mood for a good nut brown ale. But anyways, sorry.
Yeah, so I think he makes the cut, but I don't think he does much better than that.
Well, see, but this guy is so heads or tails for me that I feel like if he makes the cut, it's because he's going to be in the lead or top 5 or something. Jordan's not going to fringe, and that's why it's going to break my heart. I'm gonna put, like, let's just call it. I got one simoleon versus your 25 here, saying that he misses the cut. It's going to be real dramatic when he makes the cut by one shot and then nothing happens. I mean, that's probably what you're going to see. That's like the lame reality, but I think anything else could make it really entertaining. I mean, I like Jordan Spieth doing good.
He hasn't done worse than 11th in his career, so it's hard to bet against him.
But as I said, even back when Jordan Spieth was starting, everyone ease up, okay? The more attention we put on this kid, I could see from a mile away that it wouldn't do him any good. He didn't have the personality for it. I'm not saying he doesn't have a good personality or doesn't have, like, any type of constitution or whatever. It's just, no. Like, but the kid, how old is Jordan Spieth? 24?
I think 25.
Yeah, he's at the oldest. He's in his mid-20s for crying out loud. He's been on our radar since 2014, which was when he was 20. I mean, he couldn't even buy like a 6-pack of beer legally in this country. And then by this country, I mean America.
Not in Montreal.
So
you're good there.
So Spieth at Augusta, I think 100%. This will be the year where I will officially galvanize, really, my opinion on Jordan Spieth at Augusta. Like, if he does well, then I can never rule him out, obviously.
Then he's just winning every year.
He's in top 5 every year or something. Like I said, that's where the Tom Brady factor comes into play, where it's like, Christ, this man lives in the Super Bowl now. Just what? I mean,
yeah, could you imagine Spieth wins?
That 11th place in 2017, that was like Tom Brady's broken leg year. So when Matt Castle took the Patriots to an 11-win season and they didn't make the playoffs, that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, imagine Spieth wins though after such a terrible year, just comes out and just wins the Masters.
That's why I'm saying I'm not 100% ruling it out this time. Like, that's why I'm saying this will be the year I'll decide. Like, if he wins this year, I'll be like, okay, it's Jordan Spieth and the lefties at Augusta all the time. Yeah. And then if he doesn't win, then I'll be like, all right, well, depending on where he finishes this time, we'll see the nature of his game overall for God knows how long. So, anyways, Nolan, thank you for those 2 questions. Are you satisfied? I'm very satisfied with those 2 from Nolan. What else you got?
And then, so we have one last by Marcelo. It's more of a suggested topic. It's to discuss the women's amateur at Augusta National. And I actually didn't catch any of it, but I know you did.
Well, yeah, I'll be brief with that. Yeah, I've never said that in my life or lived up to it. That the girls, I got to watch them play a little bit on their final round, which was at Augusta. Now, I didn't know like the setup or the format in terms of like the rounds leading up to it or where they were at, but it was fun watching the ladies play. I heard and saw, in terms of a lot of headlines and social media, people saying this is the first time the women have gotten to play at Augusta, and I didn't know if it was women in general or the women. I don't know. I'm not too hip to my old white guy history. I mean, in terms of like anyways, I know Condoleezza Rice has played there before, so it's not like these are the first ladies to ever tee it up. Period at Augusta. But correct. Well, but to be fair, other than the Masters, it's like, well, what tournaments really go to Augusta in the first place? I mean, it's kind of just Bobby Jones built it just for this the Augusta Invitational. I mean, that's what it was.
Yeah, so I guess I have a pretty hot take on this whole thing. So all the players are talking about how great it is that they're bringing the woman in, which I agree, it would be great if you had a tournament there, if that's what they wanted. Go ahead with it, but this seems to me like a pretty phony marketing scheme almost, because the first 3 rounds were not at Augusta. It's like, the lucky few who make it to the last round get to play 1 round at Augusta.
I see where you're coming from. I didn't take enough of a bite of the sandwich to really be able to formulate that. I don't know, like that's why I made the white guy comment, because that's what I am. It's hard for me like to I hate to say it, folks, for me to really pay attention to too much else that doesn't relate to me in that regard immediately. I can't relate to women's issues. Let's be honest when it comes to certain things, whether you're a certain gender or where you're from, and we're not going to get like super deep or political or anything like that. But ultimately, it's sometimes it's hard to be aware or hard to care sometimes. Not so much care, but just like I was so tuned out about this, I didn't know what was going on until it was happening, and I started watching it, and I enjoyed it. Like, where were they playing before Augusta? I didn't even know.
It was some it might have been an A&A tournament, but to me they should have just had all 4 rounds at Augusta rather than just doing the final round.
Well, I like it just in terms of we don't have, to the outsider looking into golf, you could say golf is very stunted. There's not like much equality or growth or whatever. And I would say you're absolutely right. The trouble is with golf is it is the nature of its sport in progressiveness, in that it moves at a glacial pace. Like golf will inevitably grow and change as always. It just is the slowest moving evolution out of all the things that do grow and evolve, whether for better or for worse. I mean, if you could just look at it in terms of golf attire, like, I mean, there's a reason why 100 years ago professional women golfers couldn't drive it more than 100 yards. If you look at their big woolen skirts that they wore and like think about it raining or whatever, it's just like, yeah, no wonder they couldn't hit it like 50 feet. And those are the pro ladies. I mean, it's just, and then golf's obviously now turned into more athletic gear because you have to be comfortable, loose, like, billowy, things like that. So
yeah, they're very old school golf.
I appreciate the girls doing what they're doing. I feel like if the world was any less woke or any slower, I would be that guy saying it would be all for nothing. Like, shame, but this is just the glacial. Golf has been around for a long time, and it took a couple of Americans, one with a bunch of TV cameras following him around, for golf to get off the island of England. I mean, it was stuck there for 400 to 500 years, and it took America discovering the hobby and turning it into not turning it into a sport, but I mean, kind of making it like we discovered it. We brought golf over here like in I'd say it was a very late 19th century, very late. And then after about 20 years, 30 years, it finally caught on in terms of, you can golf in America and in England now. And then all of a sudden Arnold Palmer showed up and the cameras were over here and TV was over here. And that's why England's like, thank you, Arnold Palmer, lifetime exemption on the European tour, because they know they've had to fight wars being that island just stuck there. Greg can tell us all about it. I mean, God's sakes.
Yeah, so we're 20 minutes in. We'll give you guys, we'll move on to this year and give you guys some of our picks. So I guess we'll start off. Who's your number one favorite to win? And I'll give you mine, and then we'll go into some other guys.
Well, if any of the caddies from the Band Dudes Caddy Shack are listening, which it turns out, I'm not going to call you guys fans, those colleagues of mine who are listening, but you know who you are. But I heard somebody say the other day, he's like, yeah, so-and-so said you're like Jerry, you're like the spokesperson for Band Dudes right now or something. I'm just like, no, that's bull crap. I talk a lot of shit on Band Dudes' behalf or on my behalf, but spokesperson, no. And in the end, shouldn't we all be one united spokesperson for ourselves? I mean, come on. And the caddy in question who said this is a friend of mine. I'm not going to say his name, but he, I think there was a misunderstanding or whatever. But I've gotten guys coming up to me saying like, wait, there's this guy Jerry Liu on the free agent list. I just read his article like on this website, and I'm sitting there like going like, that's me. That's not interesting. But
you are Jerry Liu.
I did say at the Caddy Shack Smoke Pit a couple days ago. I just thought about it, and I said, you heard it here first, folks. Because he's starting to become really, the more I think about it, the more I marinate on it, he's becoming my favorite golfer. Augusta native Charles Howell III to break out
Chucky
at
150
to 1. I don't care if that is long shot territory, but I pick him to win the whole kit and caboodle in terms of that's where my heart's going. In short, if I need to pick a regular stallion, I like Jason Day. I really actually do. I could see Jason Day slipping on the green jacket at 25 or 28 to 1, depending on the website you're looking at. That's pretty fair returns in terms of in my top 10 model. He has the worst odds. So,
yeah, I like that. Plus, he's Chucky 36. Great nickname. You got to root for him.
Oh, yes. Oh, and by the way, thank you everyone on Twitter who replied to the nicknames tweet that I put out there saying what were fun nicknames you've heard in golf. And I didn't even really, I let you guys take it where some people said Shankopotamus, some people said Lumpy for Tim Herron. Like we had generic and we had proper nicknames. And I was going to clarify, but they were all both coming in on both sides. I'm like, no, leave it. This is all good stuff. So hopefully if I can figure out my my Microsoft Word issues, I can actually continue submitting some pieces here, because I went to go work on the best player without a major piece, and yeah, it wasn't working. So, and also I do like in terms of people getting geared up for the Masters. Yes, Charlie Hoffman just finished 17 under for the Valero Texas Open, 3 off the lead, T2. But Charlie Hoffman is like Tommy Fleetwood, where you can pencil in Charlie Hoffman to be the 36 or 54 hole leader. Who cares? That could get you some money, and that's all. It's much like saying Tommy Fleetwood will have the low round of a major. Yeah, that's kind of like a sucker bet as well. It's just kind of the way it goes. So it kind of in a similar vein though, Ryan Moore. Have not seen or heard from him in a very long time. I'm going to pull up Ryan Moore's finishes in the Masters. I didn't think about this. I should have been a little more prepared. But Ryan Moore, I thought, hey, he's a great golfer. Granted, he hasn't been around at all for a very long time. I went to look up his odds. 200 to 1, but this was this could change this week based off of this tournament. But as of right now, the Valero Texas Open finished. It is the 7th of April. The Masters week is starting in about 5 minutes. And so, I mean, this is
yeah, I like that
what do you
pick
got?
For sure. I'm sure last year coming into it, he was probably around like 100 to 1 or 125 to 1. And he's had a bit of an off year. But
I just remember he seemed to like surface and like he's PXG. He does not hit the ball far. He literally has Jim Furyk swing but backwards. Like it's like an inverted Jim Furyk swing, the way he like loops it and then brings it steep and down or something. I don't know how he does it. And he doesn't hit the ball tremendously far. I think he like maxes out like 285 or something. And that's not carry. I'm just saying that's with rollout a couple of years ago. But when Ryan's on, you can say this about any golfer. When Ryan Moore is on, he's on. I used to not like him. I've come around on Ryan Moore the past 4 or 5 years. I really enjoy watching that guy play golf. He's a shot maker. He's got a great short game. His attitude, which seemed to be crummy back in the day, seems to be very fitting now in terms of how to be a competitor and how to be like also have fun with it too. I mean, what do you think, real quick? Who are your picks while I'm looking at Ryan Moore's finish in the Masters?
My pick to win, coming in at 28 to 1, is the mad scientist Bryson DeChambeau. He's done pretty well here. He's improved each year. Last year, however, he lost 6 strokes putting. He would have been right up there with the leaders.
Really?
And I find this course, it's very like analytical. You know where to miss. You figure out there's a lot of angles and geometry that go into it. And I don't know how much Bryson's right about. Personally, I actually think he does know what he's talking about. And I sort of think this suits his game very well.
What's Bryson's? Oh wait, we were talking about that. He has different numbers. What did you have him at?
Well, he's like 28 to 1, 25 to 28.
That's right. Yeah. I had him, and yeah, my model had him at 20. That was, sorry folks, that was pretty disparaging. We had like a little spit take when we were doing our pre-show runner before this. We were like comparing. Like I said, I go off of a certain model and OddsShark mostly. I mean, OddsShark gives me the deeper, much thicker field lines, but well, if you're giving me 28 to 1 and 20 to 1, that's a little like, if you have a 5-point difference, I'll balk. This is 8 points and 28 overall. So anyways, real quick, I got Ryan Moore's finishes here at Augusta. He took a T45 in 03. He took a T13 in 05, low amateur. He did not play in 02, 04, 06, 07, 08, or 09. But in 09, wow, tied for 10th in the U.S. Open. Cool. So since 2010, he's been competing regularly in the Masters, going tied for 14th, tied for 35th, did not play in 2012, tied for 38th in 2013, missed the cut in 2014, tied for 12th in 2015, missed the cut in 2016, tied for 9th 2017, and tied for 28th. So, according to the trends that I'm looking at right now, he could be slated to win it just in terms of he had a pretty good T for 38 cut, T12 cut, T9 not cut. He was T for 28 right after that T9. But
this year he's
in. Ryan Moore. I really, well, gosh, I mean, I love Charles Howell III. I'm really falling in love with the guy just because of how hard a worker he is. Ryan Moore, because of what he did the last 5 minutes, Jason Day if I want to make a grown-up pick. But of course I'm going to root for DJ or Rory. Like, in my heart of hearts, those are two guys who are like striking the ball the best right now, and I want to see them out there. I don't have it in front of me. What do you have Bubba Watson at? I need a top lefty here.
I have Bubba coming in at 40-1.
I'm sorry, 40?
40-1.
Just 40? Just 40? Okay,
Just 40.
40-1.
What about like Brian Harmon? There's a lefty for you. He's probably coming in at steep odds.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Give me a Harmon also.
If you want a real long
Please.
shot, you go Harmon at 250-1.
Good grief, folks! The lefties play. Augusta's so good. Brian Harmon 250-1. Man, this might be long shot heaven. I mean, this is. But then again, I'm just sitting out here like shooting arrows up into the air. Like, look at that! I mean,
there's so many good long shots. It seems.
Oh, crikey.
I'll give you my last pretty big name pick. He's leading the field. Do you know who's leading the field in shots gained approach their last 24 rounds?
Adam Scott.
Wrong. Hideki Matsuyama.
Oh, come on.
My guy.
Why did I take a beat and... okay, that's good. Good for you. That's... Who's do you have who's leading strokes gained putting right now, just out of curiosity?
Strokes gained putting? I could tell you.
That's usually the one stroke stat I pay the most attention to, and then Brian Gay, burned me the Desert Classic. What are you gonna do? Meanwhile, something I want to give a quick plug for. It's not really a plug. Zach is Canadian, but he is in Florida right now on vacation, and I asked him if there's any Safeway grocery stores there. Safeway would be Kroger, I think, the American company, because we do have a McKay's in my town, and they're IGA. And let me tell you, you and I, we'll talk about IGA often.
We have IGA.
They're a lot of fun. No, because that's a Canadian company. It's IGA is like.
Okay, never mind.
I'm pretty sure it's like Kate. That's like me saying like, "Hey, they got a Tim Hortons here," and you're like, "We got Tim Hortons." I'm like, "That's why I'm telling you, eh?"
Yeah. Well.
So, anyways, real quick, this is Masters related. Coming up after the Masters on HBO is the the final season, episode 1 premiere of Game of Thrones. Show that I'm not even into that theme or that style of entertainment, but I'm into good TV shows, and Game of Thrones is legit. And I was at my Safeway / Kroger grocery store today, and they had at a kiosk there all the seasons of Game of Thrones sold individually for $12 a piece, American. And then I rifled through them a little bit, and I saw right behind the standard definition was the Blu-ray for the same exact price. And the kid at the check stand told me, he said, "Yeah, Walmart right now is trotting these out for $25 a season." To get people geared up for the new Game of Thrones. And I was even thinking about it on Amazon this morning about getting Game of Thrones just to rebuff myself. But here I am holding in my hands the complete first season Game of Thrones Blu-ray. Got it for $12. You'll know what I'll be watching this week when if I'm not working. God, I did 4 days of 36 holes the past 6 days. And the weather on one of those days was top 3 bad weather day, and it was with that douche pencil that I was caddying for. Anyway, sorry, I was bloviating about Game of Thrones while you were doing what, Zach?
So we found out the shots gained putting. It's surprisingly Jason Day.
Ha! My man, that works out great. I had no idea.
We got Day, then just behind Fowler, Billy Ho, Brandt Snedeker.
Sneds. I've been talking a lot of trash on Sneds. He's been playing some pretty good golf. I think he's over his injury, and that's Jason Day. Not too shabby. Well, listen, we anything else you want to talk about in terms of the picks? I got a question I can wrap up with you. Well, I gave you my long shots.
Oh, you don't have a couple others? There's so many good ones.
Well, I mean, I thought when I picked Charles Howell III a few days ago, when I declared it, I was like, signed, sealed, delivered. I'm not picking anyone else. It was Charles Howell III at 150-1. I like Ryan Moore at 200-1. Brian Harmon is the lefty at 250-1. Perfect. But if for the serious picks, I like Jason Day. My model shows him at 25-1. DJ and Rory obviously are heavies, and Bubba's 40-1. But I mean, long shots. This is a small field, man. It's the Masters doesn't have that many golfers. Let me.
What about Cameron?
What do you got for? What's Cam Champ at?
Cam Champ 200-1. if the rough isn't as big an effect as people think, I think he could definitely be up there making some eagles. We also have Billy Ho, 150 to 1. And like I said, he's third in the field in putting. Just coming off a terrible week, his first miscut of the year.
What about your Canadian broski Mike Weir, 2,000 to 1? Much like how Kevin Malone said, if anyone gives you he might have said 10,000 to 1, but he said, like, if anyone ever gives you 1,000 to 1 odds, you take it.
Yeah.
So we'll call it the Mike Weir line. It's like, if anyone ever gives you 2,000 to 1 odds, you take it.
I would say that Leicester City winning the Premier League was way less of an upset than if Mike Weir were to win the Masters.
Ouch.
Anywhere within 20 strokes of the lead after round 2 would be not too bad.
We got Jason Duffner here at 400 to 1.
Oh, the Duff
That's
Daddy.
a little unfair. Let me look up Duff's finishes at Augusta. I wonder what's indicative of. Is Duffner like? Can you look him up on PJ or the stats or whatever you're looking up in terms of what's Duffner ranked in is all his statistical categories? I don't know where you look up your stats currently.
I don't think Duffner's in the field.
Well, why would they give odds for him?
Is he? Oh, he must have just been added then, somehow. Yeah, he's coming at 400 to 1.
Well, he doesn't do so hot at Augusta. We got him teeing it up only since 2010, so only in this decade. And he went T30, didn't play, T24, T20, cut, T49, cut, T33, cut.
Oh, that's not great.
Which is funny because in the U.S. Open, he's got 3 top 10s. 2 of them are top 5s. In 2012, 2013, he T4'd in both those years while bookending him with cuts in 2011, 2014. Wow. Yeah, very interesting. And he withdrew from the PGA Championship the year after he won? It's weird. I didn't know that. I like Jason Duffner. I've heard a few cool nuggets of things about him, and I like
he's worth a shot. He showed he could be up there on the leaderboard at the majors, so I don't hate it.
Well, but I distinctly remember, the second I declared him the best golfer without a major, he won one. So I'm like, okay, well, we'll never hear from you again. Let's see. Pat Perez also at 400 to 1. I mean, VJ Singh's at 300 to 1 for Christ's sakes. Yeah, Jason Duffner and VJ Singh, if they were to go head to head at Augusta, I bet you Duffner would beat him 3 out of 4 rounds. I mean, come on.
What about Adam Hadwin, 250 to 1? Shout out Canada. What's up?
Yes, Adam Hadwin. I don't know if he still has the same caddy, Joe Cruz. Turns out Joey worked at Bandon Dunes. I did not know that. He did a tour through the Bandon Dunes Caddy Shack. So it's not just Tim Tucker, Bryson's caddy, but I don't know if we talked about this. Hadwin's caddy. He's if it's still the same guy. I like Hadwin.
I actually don't like him, but I was giving a shout out.
Okay, good.
To
then I didn't have to placate you that long. Who else? Griot? No, it's the same as Keimer. Kevin Knott, 200 to 1.
Lucas Biergarten.
Why is Danny Willett at 200 to 1 and JB Holmes at 200 to 1? That doesn't make sense. Like, JB Holmes is clearly the better golfer. Charlie Hoffman, 200 to 1. Anyone who's wondering about the Hoffman. Yeah,
there's some right there good internationals too. I would take a chance on.
Lee Westwood, 150 to 1. You know, that's funny that I bring him up because in doing all that information, looking up international players who are the best without a major, Lee Westwood, actually, I'm glad I brought him up. Thank you, Jerry. Is trending upward right now at Augusta. I don't know how old he is. He's got to be like in his mid to late 40s. He's 45. And I looked up his recent finishes at Augusta and checked this out. Now that's World Golf Championships. So he's been teeing it up at Augusta pretty regularly since '97.
Okay.
Missed a lot of cuts and didn't play a lot in the 2000s. Then all of a sudden, starting in 2007, he started to make a lot more cuts. Like he went, and I'm going to skip a few here, but starting in 2010, this is his finishes at Augusta. 2nd, T11, T3, T8, 7, T46, T2, T18, and didn't play last year. He only played in one major last year. It was the British Open. But he is, like, compared to his first half of his career at Augusta, which was cut, didn't play, 44th, didn't play, cut, T30, T11, 43rd. His second half, he has 5 top 10s, 3 top 5s. 3 of those top 5s are top 3s. Two of those are runners-up. Lee Westwood, my least favorite golfer, my favorite golfer to make fun of all the time, is trending upwards a little bit at Augusta this past decade.
Yeah, maybe he figured something out.
Ugh.
Some of these odds, though, they completely surprised me. Some of these guys, they're not the bigger names, but you got like Hao Tong Lee at 100 to 1, Lucas Biergarten 125 to 1.
I'm looking at I got that for Lucas. I got Hao Tong Lee at 125 to 1. I'm on the screen I'm staring at.
Even that, you got Matt Wallace 150 to 1. These three, they've been playing like peak golf.
And we'd be remiss if we didn't mention defending champ Patrick Reed. I see him here at Odds Shark at 50 to 1.
Yeah, not a fan. Not a fan of the guy. Fair. Not a fan of his golf.
I guess because I live in a day and age where, because I'm not one of those people who agrees with you, like not a fan, I guess I am a fan. I like Patrick Reed. I don't know anything that personally bad about him. I got nothing against him. I don't like his life. If you win
any money, you better make sure he's not near you. He might take it.
He's never going to be near me, ever.
Come on.
What? In what regard is he going to be near me? Like, I can think of two, and they still don't have anything to do with me having money around him.
No, not a fan. I saw him at the Farmers Insurance. Asked for an interview for the People. Was going to get an interview for the People. He shunned me and had his agent tell me no.
Yeah,
it was pretty funny, though.
I was going to say, how many other guys had their agent tell you no? I mean, I'm sure you got a lot of no's.
Him and Tony Finau. Those are the only two.
Had their agent talk to you?
Yeah. Well, Patrick Reed, though, Tony Finau, said no to me, and then his agent's like, oh, he's busy. Patrick Reed went with put the AirPods in and walk right by.
Oh, well, I can relate to that a little bit, the AirPods or whatever. But, no, I get it. I get it in terms of people who are polarizing. Believe you me, it's like Kuchar's in that boat now. And Sergio, it turns out he was never in that boat. I guess he was asshole du jour the whole time. But
yeah, no, but more I just don't love his game heading into it.
And we also don't know how DJ's going to do, if you think about it, because last year he fell down them steps, and we don't know how he finished. Let me pull up his recent finishes at Augusta real quick. But we're about to wrap this up.
Do you want to give your top three?
Top three for Augusta?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Your top three finishes, how you think it ends?
Oh, God. See, I have in the top three finishing in no particular order. I'm wasting time here because I'm looking up DJ stats in the major. Oh, my.
Here, I'll give you mine while you're looking it up. I'm going to go with...
No, DJ played the Masters last year. Why did I keep telling everyone that he fell down the stairs last year and everyone kept nodding and believing me? He tied for 10th last year.
That was 2 years ago. Going on?
Evidently. I like Dustin Johnson, Rory McIlroy, and Jason Day in the top three in that order in terms of what I think the final three are going to be.
I'm going to go with DeChambeau lifts the trophy, Dustin in second.
There's no trophy to lift. It's a jacket, man.
Okay, you're very right on that. DeChambeau rocks the jacket. Next year, he's going to bring some great food. Who knows what he'll bring? He'll probably poison his opponents for the advantage.
Nah, he's going to crush a bunch of calculators and feed them to everyone with plastic sports.
Exactly. DJ second, Hideki third.
Okay.
I would say it's almost for sure going to be right. That prediction.
Like that. DJ, no, that's good. I had so many picks and I didn't really think of a top three in that regard. So I feel like I'm really betting on the whole field right now. Real quick, DJ, not counting his 2017 slipperoo down the stairs, 2015 T6, 2016 T4, slipped down the stairs, 2017 last year T10. So his last three of the last 4 years where he teed it up, he tied for 10th or better T10s at Augusta. So, Zach, I got an Augusta question for you, or a Masters question for you. We didn't prep it, thrown it to you on the spot. And I really don't even almost have an answer quite yet. But what's your favorite Masters?
My favorite Masters?
And you can't say 97.
No, I'm going to go with the will it win and the Spieth collapse.
Oh, gross. You can go with 97 if you want, then.
No, I'm going with, I think it was 2016, right? Yeah.
2016.
Yeah, Willett went 5 under on Sunday to catch up. Spieth put a few in the water. It was very exciting.
To say the least. That was oh god, Danny Willett. I mean, I like the guy, but it's like his only tour win ever, or any win ever. He's a lucky man.
And otherwise, we spoke of earlier, Jonas Blixt tied for second that year.
Oh, I thought you said he tied for second in 2014 when Spieth was second and Watson won.
Oh, you might be right, but that's still pretty.
But still, yeah, Blixt, did take a T2 in there. So, Danny Willett. I mean, that's okay. Yeah, okay, that's not bad. I get it. That's what, folks. That's what makes good shows, is when the two talking heads don't always agree on everything. Because I totally don't like Zach's approach on that. Like, why he picked that one for whatever. That's like saying his favorite NASCAR was the one that Dale Earnhardt got killed in.
Jeez,
just like, whatever. That's the. I realized as I was singing, I can't go back, and that was really dark.
Yeah, geez, you need to blur that out.
Sorry.
We don't have enough proper editing to blur that out, so everyone's just going to have to hear it.
Well, I would hope there aren't too many NASCAR. You know what? Screw it. If there are NASCAR fans listening, then good for you guys. I mean, sports is sports. I just like sports for the competition, the competitive nature, to succeed and become victorious and have a winner. And you can't do that when everyone crashes and dies. There is no winner. In fact, it's the opposite.
Just got to keep making that left turn.
And then you realize that it's not worth watching. So my favorite, in short, real quick before we wrap up, my favorite Masters probably has to be 1992 Freddie Couples, because it was his only, as is the cool golfers in the world out there, you got to have at least just one major. And Boom Boom only had one major, and I distinctly remember at the 12th hole at Rays Creek, the par 3, his ball did not roll down into the creek somehow. It's the only golf ball still to this day, I think, that did not roll down in the creek. It just, the gods were helping him, and they gave Freddie and his destroyed back that one major that inevitably, as we know now, is his only major, because poor Boom Boom, as he said, has probably swung his last golf club for good recently. His back just cannot take it anymore. So, and I've been on the record of saying that Fred Couples is so cool. He's the only man who would not look bad using a ball retriever. He is the smoothest. Like, oh man, why we didn't see him like with some big sex scandal, or maybe we knew and didn't care. You know, he's just like Mr. Playboy.
They let it go.
I don't know. He's like Frank Sinatra, where it's just like the housewives loved him, the single girls loved him, the guys loved him. I mean, the kids loved him. It's just whatever.
Yeah, so I guess that's that. And lastly, we're still going to be doing our regular episode. This was just a special bonus Masters one.
Yes, we have the microphones on the way. The music's going to be a little bit better, we promise. Everything's getting tightened up a little bit, just like 1,000 sit-ups at a time.
Yeah, and hopefully our picks are somewhat right. Like just one. We just want one right between us.
Well, we definitely did the scatter shot here. So unless you got anything to add, Zach, I'm gonna have the nice piano and guitar play us out.
Yeah, I'm good to go.
All right, folks. Thanks for listening. Check us out on the website. Check us out on Twitter. I'm at Jerry Lou Looper with the number 1 right after that.
Yeah, and I'm at From the Back Tees, and we'll catch you guys on Wednesday.
All right, guys. It was nice talking to you today. Goodbye, friends.